sorry, in Canada, you don't have 99% Muslim population.
Yeah.
So in Canada, you're gonna take the death threats to the police, and they're gonna take them very seriously.
Oh no,
If
no.
you take them to the Moroccan police,
Yeah.
they will just tell you to F off.
Well, that's a good point. Now the thing is the death. Okay, I should clarify the death threats I get. I don't take seriously, and the police don't take seriously because they're not the online like virtual threats. They're not like someone in real life. So there's a difference, right? I mean,
yes.
So we have to distinguish between legitimate actual threats and like sort of low cost trolling, sort of someone makes an anonymous account and says I will hurt you. That's very different from someone in real life threatening you. So I'm not talking about the real life threats. Yeah, the real life threats people take seriously.
The real life threats in Morocco happens to me personally. So
yeah. So let's talk. So let's talk about what happened there. So you got these threats in university. What did you do about it? You couldn't go to the police, you said?
No, you can't go to the police. What are you gonna tell them? I said this and this about Islam. I broke the law because it's illegal to violate or say critical things about the symbols of the state, which are Islam, the monarchy, and territorial integrity.
Oh yeah.
So we pretty much we've been breaking Moroccan law since we started this stream. That's basically what we've been doing. Yeah, and it's So Mohammed Saidi should be very careful, because I've been in that little bubble at some point, and it's very because I've been into that little bubble and got out, and then I got into that little bubble again when I moved to Casablanca. So enough about the university period now, I think, and I will move now to when I moved to Casablanca, the biggest city in Morocco. So moving to Casablanca, I was thinking, this is the economic capital, and it's more open and more advanced, etc. And the society might be more tolerant, and there were, like an underground, irreligious, Moroccan, underground community, I would say. So it exists. Now, however, I think atheists exist in Mecca, so we can't use that as a meter. It's like saying, well, it's illegal to kill. It's legal to kill homosexuals in Iran, but it exists. They exist. Well, of course they exist. They exist everywhere. So you can't use that as a meter. And so they do exist. And I think Morocco, next to Egypt, is one of the Arab-speaking countries with the highest number of irreligious people and convinced atheists. And one official Moroccan report one time was issued in a newspaper called Morocco World News, which is the largest English-speaking Moroccan online newspaper. And it said that, there are about 300-ish Moroccan convinced atheists. And I think those 300-ish were just in the philosophy department in the university I studied. So that's how absurd the situation is. And so they deny that you exist. You should see one video where there was a street reportage where they talked to Moroccans and asked them about people who leave Islam. What do they think of them? And the answers were, like what an ISIS fighter would give you, basically. And it wasn't that shocking to me because I come from there. So I've been. It was shocking to some Moroccans who didn't follow those things closely. Some Moroccans who live abroad.
Yeah.
Since forever, so they're like, oh wow, Morocco changed. Oh well, you've been living abroad for 30 years, so hello. And so there is that, and there is also again the legal repercussions, like what happened to Tawfiq Boukir, the actor, recently. It's not surprising.
Talk about that.
I think what happened is that he made an Instagram stream where he was making or joking about ablution, the cleaning before the Islamic prayer. and he said that Moroccans should do ablution using vodka and whiskey. And he was drunk. He was doing that live Instagram stream while he was drunk, and he said that and wine and all that. So he just made some funny remarks on Islamic ablution before prayer.
Oh, yeah.
Now this is not a big deal in a civilized country that respects freedom of speech, but that's in Morocco. That's enough for you to get arrested and go on trial, like what happened to him. And he risks now 6 months to 3 years in jail, or 6 months to 2 years in jail, and a fine of $2,000 to $20,000. So for an average Moroccan, if they give you that jail sentence, your life is over.
Mm-hmm.
And they put you with serious criminals. They're not gonna put you in a little nice area in jail. They're gonna put you with murderers and rapists. Again, we are talking about a very conservative society. It's a very schizophrenic society. Now, in Morocco, you have alcohol is sold and licenses are given to shops that sell them, usually to non-Muslim nationals or foreigners, and they sell them. Even before, like a few years back, it was sold in the biggest supermarket chain, which is owned by the royal family and by the king. Yeah, so, and he was called out for it. He was like, oh, this is the commander of the faithful and he's selling alcohol. I mean, how do you do it? So they stopped selling it in those that supermarket chain. So again, it's schizophrenic. The whole thing is schizophrenic. It's really not a stable society. It's contradictory.
Yeah.
And this actor was arrested because he was saying some random stuff when he was drunk. So there you go. We sell you alcohol when you get drunk and film yourself saying something funny. We will arrest you. That's basically how it works.
So how did you end up irreligious, atheist? Like what made you doubt the religion in the first place?
The short story is that I wanted to become the best Muslim possible, and I ended up leaving it. That's the short version.
Okay.
I just studied it very much. I wanted to be the best Muslim possible. I thought I had the absolute truth, etc. And I have been a history nerd, and I always was very curious about how things are. Why, for example, how do we have, for example, scientific evidence for that the demons are being hit by those meteors?
Shooting stars, yeah.
Yeah, shooting stars, yeah.
Yeah.
So things like that, and yeah.
Keep going. Yep. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
My intention at first was like that, and growing up, I was surrounded by religion all the time. I grew up Sunni Maliki like most Moroccans, and I would say I grew up in a more religious household than the average Moroccan.
Oh yeah.
We had the the religious books, and we practiced religion more than the average Moroccan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there is that, and funny story. In our home, the neighborhood mosque.
Yeah.
It was our home was a bit too tall, like a tall building. So they used the mosque speaker. They put it up on our roof. So I was basically hearing the call to prayers, basically at home 5 times a day.
Yeah.
So when you live like that and your whole life is surrounded by your religion, and when you go outside and everything is ruled by Islam and all of that, then you start questioning things a little bit. You want to discover why things are the way they are, and how can I become the best Muslim possible and all that. So after doing and this is like in my teenage years, this is I was still very young at that time. After doing some deep digging, and at that time I grew up a little bit more mature intellectually. I was no longer a little child who gives childish explanations to things, although even as a child some things didn't really make sense. because our children now know more than the ancient people back in Arabian Sahara. So there was that research period where I just focused so much on the Islamic books and read the Quran. I try to understand it and read the interpretations, mainly Ibn Kathir. That's like the main Sunni interpretation. And there was that period when things stopped making much sense, because if you just look, for example, at the story of Solomon, it says that he had the biggest army ever, the biggest kingdom ever in history. Now, we know for a fact that there is no archaeological evidence or historical evidence for such a kingdom. So things like that trigger some skepticism, I would say, and it makes you, dig more. And of course, at the time, you're still looking at the text with like this label of sacred. You still label it as a sacred text, and if you come to a wrong conclusion, then you like put the blame on yourself. The text can't be wrong.
Yeah.
I am wrong.
Yeah.
And then you look for some interpretations, and as you might have noticed from personal experience, there are like some really childish apologetics for so many of those issues, like for example the issue of the marriage age of Aisha, or and those like historical errors in mistakes in the Quran, and scientific mistakes, like, oh, this is just a metaphor, or this is just this is just misunderstood, or science hasn't advanced enough yet for us to understand it, etc. The usual stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, the usual excuses. Yeah, exactly. So of course those apologetics did not really cut it for me. And then you start looking for outside sources, and then you start looking for non-Islamic sources. Most scientific sources are non-Islamic and not influenced by religion.
Yeah,
because most of the scientific advancement took place outside the Muslim world, and with the help of the internet, easy access to information. So that helped a lot. And even if you have in Morocco, if you don't have internet at home, there are internet cafes where you can go and you just pay like 5 Moroccan dirhams, which is like half US dollars, and spend an hour there, and you can just download or print whatever papers you want and do your own research. So you don't need this religious authority and hear all these old excuses that are just don't make sense to the sane human mind.
Yeah. When you started this research, was it one thing in particular that really stood out for you, that was an argument against the Quran or Islam or the Prophet? Was it something particular that really, like, you said, wow, I cannot buy this, and this is what kind of caused an avalanche of doubt, or the process of leaving Islam? What happened there?
There were so many things, but I think the main reasons were, I can divide them into 3 categories. There's the historical mistakes, the scientific mistakes, and the clear indicators that Prophet Muhammad made it up. So we can take an example of Prophet Muhammad making it up, and that good example is his marriage to his adopted son
adopted son's
wife.
Zainab.
His adopted son's wife. So he had a whole verse revealed to him to allow him to marry that woman, and he then banned adoption in Islam. So it was clear, it was clear that this person was using religion for his own gain. So again, once you remove the sacredness, once you start looking at the text as you would, for example, read the Bible or read any
Well, Bible would be
Uh,
meant as a sacred text too. You mean like
uh,
like any other book, like
like any
Quran
other
or
book,
something.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, as a Muslim, well, Muslims don't consider, for example, the Bible as sacred, or as the same way as Christians
Hmm.
consider it. They consider it corrupt.
Hmm.
Although most Muslims never read the Bible, and they think it's one book. And you know, like the common, like, put down for Christianity in Islamic apologetics. Oh, the Quran the Bible, sorry, is corrupt and changed, and you don't need to look into it. The Quran is the final word and eternal word of God.